You don't need a mansion or a Hollywood name to leave behind a story that's more than just fame.
Me to need a will, just a family, or a cat plotting world domination. Welcome to Celebrity Estate Chaos, where we prove a lot of things. Like how estate chaos isn't just for millionaires with private islands, anyone with stuff, relatives, or that one weird collection you think nobody's fighting over. And chances are, they will.
Imagine this. The alert goes out. A fast-moving wildfire is heading your way. You've got 90 seconds.
90 seconds. Wow.
Could you grab your stuff, get your dog calmed down, maybe coax the cat out from under the bed?
Yeah.
Find a guinea pig. Remember where the carrier even is.
That frantic feeling, it really highlights what we're talking about today, doesn't it?
It really does. Emergency preparedness for every animal in your life.
Yeah.
Because this deep dive isn't just for, dog and cat people. If you've got any creature, small ones, big ones, feathers, fur, hooves, this is for you, our listener. Our mission today is to look at preparedness guides, some YouTube discussions with real stories, official resources too, and pull out the really key steps.
The actionable stuff, things you can actually do.
Exactly. So you feel more in control, less overwhelmed when thinking about your animals in a crisis.
Because they really are completely reliant on us when something happens, aren't they? They can't read warnings or, pack their own bags.
No, exactly. That vulnerability, it really came through in the sources we looked at.
It did.
Thinking about the Paradise wildfires. Just awful. Hundreds of pets left behind in all that chaos. The stories are just heartbreaking.
Yeah, it makes you really stop and think, what would I do?
And then there was the Kentucky tornado outbreak. So many horses killed or lost.
And what was really striking there was, well, a lot of it might have been preventable if there'd been a plan, an evacuation plan, a safe spot designated beforehand.
It wasn't just the storm itself.
No, the lack of planning made the tragedy so much worse.
And Hurricane Katrina, the scale of that is still hard to grasp. Over 250,000 pets stranded.
Unbelievable.
And hearing that owners later said they regretted it so much they wish they'd known about pet-friendly shelters or lack thereof, it just shows a huge gap.
A critical gap, yeah. More recently, the BC flooding, huge livestock losses, hundreds of cattle.
And the issue there was?
A really practical one. Transport. Not enough trailers ready to go for a quick, large-scale evacuation.
Right. And the Texas deep freeze, another example. Underestimating the weather.
Yeah.
Awful stories of abandoned animals, chickens freezing.
Yeah, and that Lytton fire in BC, again, just shows how fast things can happen.
Super fast.
The evacuation was so sudden, people didn't have time for carriers, didn't even have makeshift bags ready. Lots of pets lost in that rush.
These aren't just numbers, are they?
Yeah.
They're real examples of what happens when there's no plan.
It really drives home that point. Hoping for the best. That's not a strategy.
No.
The sources kept saying it. Lack of preparation leads to huge regret later. The emotional toll on people who feel they let their animals down, it's immense.
So, okay, how do we avoid that regret? How do we get proactive? One YouTube source talked about oops-proofing. I thought that was a great term.
Oops-proofing, I like that.
Yeah. It's not just about the massive disasters,
Yeah.
It's also about the smaller things. A power outage, a local flood, even just having to leave the house fast for some reason.
And that mindset, the oops-proofing thing, it's about thinking ahead, isn't it? Anticipating problems, big or small, and having something in place. Like that commentator said, uh-oh is not a strategy.
No, it definitely isn't. You can't just react when your animal's safety is on the line.
So true.
And the foundation for this, the bedrock of oops-proofing that came up everywhere, emergency supplies. Not just for us, but dedicated kits for the animals.
Exactly. Building those animal emergency kits, that's step one. You're aiming for minimum 72 hours worth of supplies. Think of it like their little survival backpack.
Okay, so what goes in? Obvious stuff first.
Yeah.
Food, water.
Yeah.
Enough for 3 days at least.
Right. Medications if they need any.
Yeah.
Leashes, harnesses, definitely secure carriers for the little guys.
And maybe something comforting, like their own bedding. I imagine that helps with stress.
Oh, absolutely. Familiar smells can make a huge difference.
Okay, what else? Records.
Yes. Copies of vaccination records. Super important if you need an emergency vet, or maybe a shelter that requires proof of jabs. And recent photos. Clear photos of your pets.
For ID, right, if you get separated.
Exactly. It happens so easily in the chaos. A photo can make finding them again much, much easier.
I liked the term, one YouTube creator used a bark bag or a meow kit.
Aha! Yeah, that's catchy. It makes it easy to remember a dedicated grab-and-go bag just for them.
Right, and Prepare BC had some really specific ideas depending on the animal, like
Yeah.
for bunnies or guinea pigs.
Yeah, extra shavings and a little hiding box. Gives them security, comfort.
Okay, what about reptiles?
A portable, battery-operated heat lamp. That's crucial for them, something maybe you wouldn't think of right away.
Good point. Birds.
Cuddlebone, grit their usual needs. And for dogs and cats, obviously, poop bags or a small litter box and scoop. Not negotiable. So, you've got the kits packed. Great. What's next? How do you actually get them somewhere safe?
The exit strategy. One source called it the treasure map to safety.
I like that. Makes it sound less daunting.
Yeah, me too. The idea is to actually map out your escape routes, not just in your head, but visually.
Yeah,
And have more than one.
right. And the detail they suggested including.
Yeah. Mark your house, obviously, but also where you'll gather the animals needs to be easy, safe, where the car or trailer is parked. Primary route out, secondary route out.
From the property and the neighborhood?
Yes. And potential safe spots, drop-off points.
And using visuals helps, right? Arrows, landmarks, maybe even GPS coordinates as a backup.
Totally. Then laminate them. Post copies where you'll see them barn, garage, near the door. So everyone knows the plan, even a helper if needed. Time is everything.
And for livestock owners, a specific route just for them is key, and they actually suggested practicing it.
Get out with the animals.
Yeah. Maybe use some apple bribes to make it go smoother. Makes the whole idea of moving big animals in a hurry feel a bit more, well, doable.
Okay, practicing with apple bribes, noted. So where are you actually going? Identifying those safe havens that I need's doing now, right?
Oh, absolutely. Long before anything happens, the guides really stress researching animal-friendly places now.
So making a list. Hotels that take pets, kennels, vet clinics, maybe even other farms nearby.
Exactly. Find out their policies during emergencies. Don't wait till the last minute when everyone else is calling too.
And what about places like fairgrounds, ag centers?
Good shout. Call them now. See what their emergency animal sheltering plans are, if any. They often have the space.
Okay. And maybe making deals with neighbors, like reciprocal agreements.
Yeah, that's a smart idea. Setting up a network. If you're away when something happens, maybe a neighbor can help with your animals, and you'd do the same for them, a vital backup.
Makes sense. So you know where to go. Now how do you get there? The transport plan.
Right. Need to figure out what vehicles, what trailers you need for which animals.
And who's driving what? Decide that now. Avoid the scramble later.
Definitely. And simple things, like keeping carriers easy to grab, not buried in the attic somewhere.
Yeah, halters and leads ready for the bigger animals too. And spare fuel. Gas stations get swamped.
Good point. And also, think honestly about how long it takes to load everyone, even the difficult ones.
Huh. Yes, the uncooperative ones.
Yeah.
Factor that in.
Now, for farm animals, sometimes evacuation just isn't possible, or maybe authorities advise against it. The Emergency Preparedness for Farm Animals Guide talks about sheltering in place.
Okay, but it's not just any field, right? There are criteria.
Very specific criteria. The pasture should ideally have only native trees. They're less likely to uproot. Critically, no overhead power lines, no loose debris around.
And fencing.
Woven wire is much safer than barbed wire in an emergency. Animals can panic. And enough space, they suggest at least an acre per animal to avoid injury from overcrowding.
Wow, okay. What else?
Access to high ground, obviously vital if flooding is a risk. And a reliable source of food and clean water.
And if sheltering indoors, like in a barn.
You need to make sure the building is reinforced beforehand. Secure anything inside that could be hazardous.
Got it. Something that came up again and again in the sources was community, the buddy system.
Yes, the buddy system. It's not just about one friend. It's about building that local network.
Neighbors, friends, other farms,
Mm-hmm.
people who can help each other out.
Especially if you're not home when an emergency hits. Knowing someone nearby could check on your animals, maybe even help evacuate. That's huge peace of mind.
It really is just about knowing your neighbors, isn't it?
Yeah.
Knowing what resources people have and them knowing yours. We're definitely stronger together in a crisis.
For sure. And sometimes preparedness involves, well, thinking outside the box a bit. There was one slightly weird hack in a YouTube video.
Oh, yeah. A weird hack. Do tell.
Okay, so apparently a can of tuna packed in oil.
Tuna. What about it?
You can use it as an emergency candle.
No way. How?
The oil is the fuel. You just need a wick, like a bit of twisted paper towel stuck through a hole in the lid.
A tuna can candle.
Yeah.
That's surprisingly practical, actually. Maybe not pretty, but light is light in an emergency.
Exactly. Resourceful. But beyond the practical stuff, the sources also talked about mental readiness.
Right. Staying calm. Having a plan actually helps you stay calm, doesn't it? It reduces the panic so you can think clearly.
Definitely. And digital preparedness, too. Backing up important documents, online vet records, insurance.
Offline maps downloaded on your phone. Good idea.
Yeah, and a battery-powered radio. For info if the power's out, internet's down. And even just a written list of emergency numbers. Simple, but what if your phone dies?
Good point. Okay, let's circle back to farms specifically. That emergency preparedness for farm animals guide had more right.
It did. Really practical stuff like durable, visible ID on all animals and having proof of ownership handy, crucial for getting them back if they get displaced.
Makes sense. What else?
Checking and reinforcing buildings regularly, inspecting utilities for weak spots, thinking about maybe removing or rerouting barbed wire in key areas where animals might need to flee quickly.
Okay, and water, power.
Identifying backups, generators, hand pumps for water. Really important for keeping things going, and securing anything loose on the property that could blow around and become dangerous.
Like potential flying debris.
Got it.
What about hazardous materials?
Store them safely, obviously, and make sure local authorities know where they are, just in case. Also, keeping things like manure pits and cisterns well maintained to prevent spills or contamination during floods.
Right. Lots to think about for farms. And the overall farm emergency plan itself.
Needs a solid contact list. Employees, helpful neighbors, your vet, poison control, shelters, transport contacts.
And that tip about having an out-of-town contact.
Yeah, really smart. Someone unaffected by the local situation who can help coordinate or pass messages.
And then document the whole plan, share it with everyone involved, and importantly, review and update it regularly.
Absolutely, things change. And the farm emergency kit itself needs to be pretty comprehensive.
What goes in that, beyond the human basics?
Okay, so a current list of all animals, where they are, any special needs, supplies for temporary ID tags, a good animal first aid kit, handling gear, halters, ropes, maybe even bolt cutters.
Full cutters, okay.
Yeah, for cutting fences or chains in a real pinch. Then adequate water, feed, sanitation stuff for the animals, reliable communication, cell phone, radio, vehicle and trailer safety gear, and yeah, supplies for the humans too.
Wow, okay. That sounds like a lot. It can feel overwhelming.
It can, but remember what all the sources said. Start small.
Right. Just do one thing.
Exactly. Pick one thing today. Buy an extra bag of pet food. Put together a basic first aid kit for the dog. Just talk to your family about what you'd do if the power went out for a day.
Every little step helps build momentum.
Totally. And setting up that out-of-state contact or just chatting with your immediate neighbors about a basic plan, those are fairly easy first steps too.
And we need to remember, this stuff isn't hypothetical, is it? The reality check is all around us.
Sadly, yes. Recent earthquakes, wildfires, floods, that Texas freeze, Hurricane Ian, the pandemic even, it just keeps happening. Emergencies aren't really an if anymore, they're a when.
And we learn lessons each time, right? Like needing multiple ways out, not underestimating the weather, the impact of climate change making things more intense.
All painful lessons, but they highlight why this preparedness is so critical now.
And if listeners want to dive even deeper, especially on household and pet prep, a lot of these great practical tips came from author Tina Ginn's work.
Oh yeah, Tina Ginn. She's written a whole series. Things like emergency, not on my watch, oops proof, what you'll actually need when it hits the fan.
Love that title.
First aid. 5 hilarious yet helpful ways to protect your pets in emergencies. Ready for anything. And stop, drop, roll your eyes. Really useful, practical resources.
Sounds like it. Okay, so the final call to action for you listening right now.
Yeah.
What's one small step, one concrete thing you can do today, or definitely this week, to get more prepared for your animals?
Please don't wait for that uh-oh moment. Don't wait for the panic.
Yeah. It really is about being proactive, isn't it?
Mhm.
Prepare now. It's about the safety, the well-being of your whole family, 2 legs or 4 or more.
Preparedness isn't about being scared. It's about feeling empowered. It cuts down the panic, helps you act effectively when it really counts.
So true.
And maybe one final thought. As you're making your plan, really think about your specific animals. What are their unique challenges? What weird quirks do they have that might be an issue in an emergency? Tailor the plan to them.
That's a great point. Personalize it. Make it real for your situation.
Exactly.
Okay, fantastic advice. Take that thought with you. Until our next deep dive, everyone, stay safe, and most importantly, stay prepared.
That's a wrap for today's chaos. If you learned something, laughed a little, or now feel slightly more prepared for life's curveballs, we've done our job. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel and follow us on social media. Catch us on Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere podcasts make you rethink your to-do list. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, if it's important and unexpected, we probably cover it. Stay safe, stay curious, and we'll see you next time.